This conference will now be recorded.
Hello everyone, good morning. This is Kiran, the trainer joining. Can you guys please confirm if you are able to hear me?
Oh, yes.
Okay, cool. Uh, okay, thank you everyone for enrolling in this demonstration class, day zero class of API testing using Postman tool. Um, I'll give a quick introduction about my profile and what all I teach in this course so that you are aware of it. This is more of an introductory class between us to know each other. So I'll start about myself. My name is Kiran, and I have close to 18 years experience in the IT industry. And I have been doing this corporate trainings and trainings to the batches like this, the public batches. For the last 15 years, I have been doing this, and I have taught close to 300 corporate batches for a lot of MNCs in India across the length and breadth of India and outside India as well. And I have done close to 200 plus public batches, either in the mornings or in the evenings whenever I get some time. And my expertise spans across multiple subjects. So I teach not only Postman and API testing, I teach performance testing with the tools like Jmeter, Gatling. I teach security testing using tools like Z Attack Proxy, Burp Suite, Network Mapper, SQL Mapper, etc. I teach accessibility testing. I do the regular web application automation testing using tools like a Catalan Studio. I do teach tools like Git, GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, Jenkins on the DevOps side. So these are few of the areas of expertise where I do corporate trainings to MNCs and also public batches based on the interest coming in from the batches. And coming to API testing, I do this with multiple tools: Postman, SoapUI, Ready API, Catalan Studio, Insomnia, Tailend. But for this batch that I'm starting from today, we have finalized the tool as Postman tool. The reason is pretty simple. Though there are so many tools, Postman tool scores a lot. When it comes to automation tools for APIs, Postman tools secures a lot of marks because it has a lot of popularity. The usage is also pretty easy. Any person who is not good at programming language or anyone who says that I'm not good at automation, I think Postman is the first tool they can think of to move to automation area, because Postman tool is so easy because it has a rich graphical user interface and you have to do configurations. Configurations are pretty much easy, and little of JavaScripting has to be done, but for that you don't have to come from a programming language. Whatever education you had in your colleges, whatever programming you have seen in your current office, current projects, that's more than sufficient. That's why Postman is regarded as a no code automation tool or less code or low code automation tool. And it is also referred as father of all API automation testing tools. So that's the reason we have finalized Postman tool. And let me also, so this is the URL where we have clearly explained what all we have in scope for API testing. I'll put that information here on the chat in case if you wanted to read this article. So here we have given some demonstration videos, my demonstration videos, and you can also read about me over here. These are my previous demonstration videos, first class and second class. Go through it if you are interested. And this is a feedback that I have received from the last batch that we have completed. We have completed close to 5 batches in the last 3 months. And obviously, this is a question for most of you in the training, right? Maybe today's class, this is a question you will be having in your mind. Like, what are the key takeaways for me? Like, what do I learn? And I made it very clear what is that you are going to learn here. So these are the promises from my side, because these are the assurances I'm giving it to you. That's how the training will be delivered, including the recorded videos and the notes that I'm going to share with you. So by the end of the course, every one of you will become a testing professional using Postman tool. Now, whether you become an expert or an intermediate expert is up to you, because it depends on your practice. How much you practice and how many questions you ask me in the training makes the decision factor here, whether you become an intermediate professional or an expert professional. But I can confirm and assure that you will certainly become a strong professional in Postman tool if you are following me, asking questions and practicing it on a daily basis. And you will understand how to approach testing for REST APIs and SOAP APIs. Okay. And we will also learn different API testing techniques. Usually in manual testing, you heard of smoke testing, regression testing, retesting, etc. Right? I will not teach all those things. You are already aware of it. You are experts in those areas. I will be specific to API automation testing techniques. So that is part of my chapter 3, which I'll show it to you. So you will understand the different testing techniques that you should execute while doing automation of APIs. We will also have some reusable test cases prepared and a reusable test plan prepared for API testing so that you can apply it in your projects. So I'll give you templates with the data filled in. You can read my test cases, you can read my test plan, and it is a generic test case document, a generic test plan. You have to use it and rewrite it for your project. So I'm giving a ready-made template you can use to convert it into real test cases. And you will also understand how to approach the automation testing of APIs inside Postman tool by writing JavaScripts. And how can you use a shortcut to bring existing automation scripts into the Postman tool? Like, you don't have to write everything. Postman has built-in code already available. You have to just copy it and paste it or bring it. And I'll also teach you data-driven automation testing here. And I'll also show you how you can execute your automation at a scheduled date and time, which means I have conducted some automation of APIs in Postman, and my developer expects me to run it at 12 o'clock in the afternoon today. But 12 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm watching a movie in a theater with my family. I cannot tell this to my developer because I'm not on leave. But how can I still run it? I can tell Postman that, hey, you run this automation code, whatever I have written yesterday, at 12 p.m., and you send an email to me and my developer. Postman does that work. So Postman executes your code at the time you mentioned and sends an email to developer and to you. The developer thinks that you only did that, but you're actually watching a movie in theater with your family while Postman is doing your job. So that scheduling of automation is also available in Postman, and we will discuss that. And of course, we will generate different kind of test reports so that you can share it with your development team. So I'll share with you HTML test reports, how to generate XML test reports, how to generate JSON reports, or a command line interface test reports. For that, we will use a new tool called a Newman tool framework. Most of the people, when they learn Postman, they don't learn Newman. That is a drawback. But here I'll ensure that I will teach Newman tool framework also, so that you can generate these reports. Without Newman framework, you cannot generate these reports. Okay? And this course is for nearly 30 hours. You'll get lifetime access to the recorded videos. You will get access via YouTube to your email ID. It's not a public video, it's a private video on a private channel. You'll also receive a course completion certificate from Isha team. You will get notes also from me. So I'll show you how the notes looks like. So whatever notes I have shared with my previous batches, I'll just show that to you. Yeah, so this was a recent batch I completed. So you'll get notes in this format. Google Drive access will be given. So whatever variables we created, you will see here, the common interview questions and answers will be shared with you, which has interview questions, assignments, object assignments. Whatever project files we are using, they are there in these three things. Whatever test data we create, you see here. Whatever test reports we generate, you will see all the reports here. And whatever training material I have to share with you, you will see it here. Okay. I'm sharing a cheat sheet also with you guys, and a PPT, a test plan document, a test case document, and the actual notes, right? So this is the actual end-to-end automation notes that I'm going to share with you, which I have written myself. So this is a very, very big document. I think it's close to some 100 pages. think it's more than 100 pages. You will get the detailed notes how to do anything in Postman. Along with screenshots, I have written here. If you see, screenshots and steps are given here how to achieve anything in Postman for automation. So you'll get notes like this with from me, and whatever rough notes I write on a daily basis, I put it on a separate document so that if you want to refer the rough notes that I'm writing, you can see this also. See, rough notes also is available here. So this is the kind of notes that you will receive from us with regards to the notes. Recorded classes will be available on a daily basis. You'll get access to your enrolled email ID via YouTube only. And coming to the course content, what I teach in this is what I have explained here. So I'll go through this little quickly. But before I do that, do you guys have any questions? Anything to ask?
Hi, Kiran. Just a quick question. Like, as we have like different tools in API, right? Like, why in specific to Postman? I mean, is it like used widely in the corporate companies or um,
Hmm. Yeah,
yeah,
good question, Santosh. I'll answer them. Lot
okay,
of reasons are there why Postman. So I'll write down few of the pointers here. So if someone says why Postman, one, it is free. The tool is free, so your company is saving money on the licensing. Two, it has a graphical user interface, which makes it easy on the learning curve, meaning you can easily learn the tool because it has a graphical user interface. If you have seen Selenium, Selenium does not have an interface, right? You use Eclipse or IntelliJ editor to write the code. So you depend on something else to write the code. But whereas Postman, it has a graphical user interface. So it is easy to learn the code, to learn the tool easily, and ready-made code snippets are available inside Postman. So you don't have to really write the code. Just go look at the code, click it, the code will appear immediately. Moreover, it is available across multiple platforms, meaning it is available for Windows operating system, Mac operating system, Linux operating system, and now it is available as a web application also, meaning you don't have to install it. You can directly access Postman on the browser, making it free access even on a smartphone or an iPad also. That's another reason. And I would say it supports all protocols like HTTP, HTTPS, MQTT, GraphQL, etc. So it supports a lot of other protocols. I think it supports even WebSockets. And another reason why Postman is it can be used by developers for designing and developing APIs. It can be used by QA team for testing the APIs. It can be used by DevOps team for monitoring the APIs. So Postman tool can be used by three different stakeholders in a project. So developers also say, yeah, this tool I can also use. QA says I can also use. DevOps says I can also use. So everyone can use this tool. That's why Postman is a hit. And like this, I can write multiple reasons. In fact, all the companies are using it. Facebook is using it. Google is using it. Twitter is using it. LinkedIn is using it. Instagram is using it. Cisco is using it. IBM, Infosys, TCS, Microsoft, you name it. So many companies are using Postman for developing the APIs, for testing the APIs, and for deploying the APIs as well. Okay.
yeah. Thank you, Kiran.
Yeah. Yeah. So coming to the course content, we have put everything pretty much fair on the website itself, our website. So I have divided this entire curriculum into multiple chapters. So I'll tell you what chapters I have. I will not go very deeper like what is this API request and response. I'll start explaining them from tomorrow's class onwards. So in chapter 1, you guys will be introduced towards the world of APIs. So you'll understand what is an API, why do I need an API, how can I understand it diagrammatically, and what is that client and server architecture where APIs are sent and API responses are received. We'll also look at the three-tier architecture model where you hear the words front-end system, back-end system, server or database system. That introduction is what I'm going to give in chapter 1. Along with this, I'll give a description on data description formats like what is HTML, what is JSON, what is XML, how do they look like, what is the syntax. All these things are part of my chapter 1. Here you'll also learn the get method, post method, put, patch, delete methods. Then in chapter 2, we'll move little closer towards APIs. We'll talk about the different types of APIs available in the internet. So here I have written some APIs. If you see here, you have XML RPC APIs, SOAP APIs, REST APIs, GraphQL APIs are also there. So I'll talk about the evolution of APIs. What is the difference in all these three technologies like SOAP APIs versus REST APIs? Then I'll talk about classification of APIs, where I will talk about APIs can further be classified as public APIs, private APIs, secured APIs, unsecured APIs. What is the difference between these four? Like how do your developers call them, and how you can question the developers? What type of APIs are we using? So the understanding of all these things will be explained here. Then we'll talk about the syntax of an API, meaning the structure of an API. Right now, until now, you are listening the types of APIs, what is an API, classification. But when the API is given to you by a developer, how does it look? What is the user interface of an API? What is the structure? What is the syntax? That is what I'm going to explain here. Then I'll show some live examples of APIs on the internet. So I'll show some Twitter APIs, Facebook APIs, or any kind of APIs. You name it, I can just show it to you on the internet, just for clarity purpose. Chapter 3 again will become more closer towards APIs, but this time on the testing front. So here I'll teach the different API testing techniques. So I have written here what all testing techniques we are going to learn in this course: positive testing and negative testing. Then we will talk about a reusable API test plan, where I'll share my document with you for your reference. Throughout the training program, it will be referred. Then I'll share some reusable test cases also with you, so that you can read those test cases and apply them in your project. And in fact, in the training, we'll do that also. So until chapter 3, it is theory. So first three chapters will take nearly 5 days of classes, and it is all theory. But your foundation will be so strong that you will be able to give an interview with confidence, or you will be able to work with confidence in your existing projects. Chapter 4 onwards, until we complete the remaining chapters, it is a practical session. Hands-on exercise is what we have. Okay. So chapter 4, we will bring Postman tool into picture. We will download the tool, we'll install the tool, we'll do a quick walkthrough of the graphical user interface of the tool. We'll see how we can sign in, how we can sign up, and how we can use it either on the browser or by installing it on the computer. So that quick walkthrough and introduction of Postman is there on the chapter 4. Chapter 5, we will talk about the Postman hierarchy, which means when you are about to start an automation project of APIs in your organization, this hierarchy we have to follow. Like, what is the first thing I have to create in Postman? The answer is a workspace. So I'll teach you what is this workspace and what are the different types of workspaces you can create. If I want to delete my workspace, what is the possibility? If I wanted to invite Santosh to my workspace, how should I do that? If I wanted to remove Santosh from my workspace, what should I do? So all these things related to workspaces will be explained in chapter 5. And that is the very first thing in Postman hierarchy. And when I say workspace, it is a repository. It's a project repository where you keep your test cases. Then we have chapter 6, where we'll talk about how to automate REST APIs. So I will take different REST APIs, meaning from here onwards, you will start me taking project 1 as an example, project 2 as an example, project 3, project 4. Like that, we will take minimum 4 projects. Project 1 will be REST APIs, project 2 also REST APIs, project 3 also REST APIs, project 4 will be SOAP APIs. And each project will have one of these different formats, like a Swagger format, a curl format, or a JSON format, or an WSDL SOAP XML format. So I'll talk about all the documentation formats, how you will receive from developers, and how you should understand the documentation. To make it little clear, let me just show this example. I'm just searching for something on the internet, and I'm going there. So let us say this is one documentation the developer has given for APIs. So documentation from the developer looks like this. So he has given something like this. So how will you understand it? How will you test it? That is what this first bullet point will explain. Similarly, if you come further down, another set of examples is given by developer. So how to understand, how to test it? That is what this bullet point 1 will explain. Similarly, you see here, this is another format where APIs are given by developers. You see, so many APIs are given. So how to understand it and how to test it? That is part of my this chapter. Similarly, here also you see the APIs are available. Here, if you see on the black side, so much of code is there. How do you understand it? Sometimes the developers will give you the data in a different format. Something like this they'll give. So developer gives the code like this to you. He says this is the API requirement document. Go and test it. So how will you test all these things? That is what we will come prepared in chapter 6 here. Okay. Then we will, once we understand the documentation, we'll start writing positive test cases and negative test cases and how to automate them. Okay. And here we will see how to test all the APIs that uses get method, post method, put method, patch method, delete method, along with authorization header, meaning all the APIs are protected these days. You will have to enter a username and a password to access the APIs, or you will have to enter a bearer access token to access the APIs. So how do you configure all those things in Postman? How do you write JavaScripts to validate all these things? All those things will be part of this particular chapter. Okay. So we are going to validate a lot of parameters while doing automation, which I have listed here. Then in chapter 7, we'll talk about another feature called Postman collections. Now, collection is a very essential thing in automation framework inside Postman hierarchy. Collection contains your test cases, test data, and test scripts. So I'll teach you how to create collection, how to delete it, how to move it from one workspace to another, where to write test scripts inside the collection. Should I write it on the collection or should I write it beneath the collection? There are different ways to do that. All those things I will discuss in chapter 7. And Postman collections can be exported to another computer. They can be imported from another computer. You can integrate collections with GitHub. You can integrate it with Jenkins. All those things will be discussed from chapter 7 onwards. Okay. Then chapter 8 focuses on automation testing of APIs. This is where I'll put more energies and more focus on writing the JavaScripts and validating your automation APIs. And in this process, we will also discuss data-driven automation testing, meaning I'll put the test data in a CSV file, comma separated values, CSV file, and I'll supply that CSV file to Postman, and it will test my APIs with all the test data which I inserted in the CSV file. Or else I will supply the test data by using a Postman library which can generate random test data for me. Like there are certain functions in Postman. So example I'll tell, the function is dollar random date. So if you use this function, a random date is generated by Postman. Similarly, if I write a function called random integer, so it will generate a random number from 1 to 1000. Like this, so many functions are there in Postman, which I will teach. And we use this during data-driven automation testing. So you see here, data-driven automation testing is conducted using the Postman functions or using my CSV files or JSON files. Then we'll do interoperability testing, meaning it's like a browser compatibility testing and operating system compatibility testing. In this technique, you will figure out to comment whether your APIs are uh, testable on a Windows operating system, on a Mac system, on a Linux system, or my API is compatible with Chrome browser, Firefox browser, Safari, Microsoft Internet Explorer, or Edge. You can comment all these things when you do this interoperability testing. Then we will also do performance testing of your APIs using Postman tool. That's a new feature given in Postman, and I have incorporated that in my course. So we will do performance testing or load testing of APIs inside the Postman tool, and we will generate nice HTML test reports and PDF test reports. Then we'll do the scheduled testing. I give an example, right? Well, you are watching a movie in the theater, but Postman can still execute your scripts at 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock and send an email to developer 1, developer 2, tester 1, manager 1. So that scheduled automation testing is also possible in Postman, and we'll see that automation process. And we'll write different Java scripts. So I have just given some examples here. This is just a glimpse of it. We'll do beyond this. In fact, these are the different assertions we are going to do. We are going to validate a lot of things in the response coming from the server. Then an important thing that most people talk about is API chaining. We also call it as correlation. In API chaining, what we do is we capture the response of one API, we store it somewhere, and we reuse that values and the values in some other APIs. So whenever server is giving dynamic data and we want to refer to the dynamic data in the subsequent APIs, we use API chaining. And this is the mandatory skill that every automation API specialist should be aware of. Because API chaining, without that, we cannot automate even one single test case in any project. Then in chapter 9, we'll talk about import feature given in Postman. Using import feature, most of the challenges you face in projects will be sorted out. In fact, all the interview questions will be based on chapter 9. And my practical experiences working in so many projects in my career, like maybe around 30 to 40 API projects I worked, all the challenges I faced in 30 to 40 projects are solved using chapter 9. Meaning I was able to solve it based on my learning that I did self learning, and I kept it in my chapter 9 so that you don't have to face that problem again. Because testing an API today looks easy for you, but in your project, the project document looks different. And then you will say, Kiran, you explained something else, but what I'm seeing in my office is different. To avoid that question, chapter 9 is the answer. So I have covered nearly 90% of the possibilities how your company can give you documentation, whether you are working from India or outside India. This will answer 90% of the problems you have in your real-time projects, and mostly this is also an important interview question. Chapter 10 is also part of chapter 9, same thing. Chapter 11 focuses on Postman variables. You know, right? I mean, in automation, we use the concept of variables where you store some sensitive data, confidential data inside a variable. So Postman also has the concept of variables, and we have different types of variables in Postman. You have global variables, collection variables, private variables, environment variables, data driven variables. So we'll discuss all the types of variables and how to create variables manually or using JavaScripts. That we'll discuss in chapter 11. In chapter 12, I'll bring the Newman framework. Until chapter 11, it is Postman. Now we'll install this plugin called Newman, which is coming from Postman only. So Postman released this Newman plugin. Using this plugin, we'll be able to generate nice HTML test reports, CSV test reports, or JSON test reports, XML test reports. So chapter 12 focuses on what is the installation process, configuration process required for Newman, meaning all the prerequisites will install. Then what are the commands that you have to keep in mind to generate test reports for functional testing or load testing or data driven testing. So I'll teach more commands to you, and all those commands will put it on the command prompt. So here you will write a Newman commands to generate HTML test reports, XML, JSON, CSV, or CLI test reports. So all those commands will be part of this chapter 12. Chapter 13, we will talk about the basic troubleshooting, debugging, and what are the settings available globally in the Postman tool, so that any problem that you face while testing your project, chapter 13 should be able to assist you. So there are different ways to troubleshoot, there are different ways to debug, and all these things are discussed in chapter 13. So this is not related to automation testing, but a kind of self-help that you need to have when things are not happening properly. Okay. So overall 13 chapters is what we have, and wherever you see the word hands-on exercise here, right, from chapter 4 onwards you see hands-on exercise. This is a practical training, guys. 95% of the training is practical that I do on my Postman tool. So I'll do it on my Postman tool here. Practically we'll do it, and we'll write a lot of JavaScripts. Like I'll show you some JavaScripts that I had written. I'll just show some examples only. So this is where you will see some JavaScripts here. So this is the area where we will write JavaScripts. Okay, this is very small thing I have written. There are other examples where we have written so many JavaScripts, but you will get to understand all these JavaScripts. Don't panic that this is looking little difficult. Once you follow the standards, I mean, once we follow the step-by-step procedure, this will be little clear for all of us. Okay. So this is what I have in store for all you guys. This course is for 1 month, starting from today. Today is day 0 class. Tomorrow onwards, will the actual classes will start. And like I said, every day the classes are recorded. You will get access to the recorded classes on a daily basis. And coming to the training material or my notes or the projects, whatever I'm teaching, I'll put it on Google Drive and you will get access to the Google Drive. You can download it also whenever you want. So that's all I have in today's demonstration class. Over to you guys if you have any questions now. Okay, I have a question. Are you going to cover OAuth 2.0? The answer is yes. I'll be covering it. I'll be covering different authorizations. So to explain, we will talk about basic authorization. I'll talk about digest authorization. I'll talk about bearer access token authorization. I'll talk about OAuth authorization. If we have an example for API key, we'll talk about API key authorization also. So different authorization techniques are there. Once to understand the first three, tomorrow if people talk about OAuth or API key or they talk about AWS authorization, this is also easy. The first three examples will tell you how to do it in Postman. Then tomorrow, any other authorization technique comes, the process is the same. So you'll understand it because you are understanding the framework, right? Then you know where to make changes, how to make changes. So that clarity you will definitely have it. Okay, Sai Kiran has a question. Do we cover any concepts from REST assured? So if you mean REST assured, the answer is no. REST assured is another tool, but the tool we are talking about here is Postman. I'm talking about REST APIs. I'm talking about SOAP APIs in this course. Both SOAP APIs I will discuss, REST APIs I will discuss. But REST Assure is another tool. So if you mean REST Assured tool, the answer is no, Cycle. We are not discussing that tool. If you have any other questions, you can put it on the chat or you can let me know by unmuting. Okay. So guys, you can share your WhatsApp numbers on the chat so that I can share with you the course curriculum notes on the WhatsApp. I'll put a document and share it with you, or my team will be doing it today. And if you have any questions, you can further communicate with us or with our team on the group chat also. So any other questions, guys, that you have for me? Okay, if there are no more questions, I think we are done with this demonstration day 0 class for today. And tomorrow
Kiran,
onwards,
I have one question.
yes, please.
How many percentage we will get once this completed? We will get how much scope of in outside Kiran for API?
Okay, assuming that you are listening and you are practicing all the assignments that I give, you will be having 60 to 75% confidence to give an interviews. And the whatever interview questions and answers I'm giving out to you, plus whatever I'm teaching in the entire training course, they will be helping you nearly 60% in the interview process. Now, with what gut feeling I'm telling this, let me also answer that. I myself take a lot of interviews, and most of the questions I ask in the interviews is what I teach actually, because what I teach is practical challenges that people face in the industry, and whatever companies are expecting in the API automation, that is what I teach, because I do that automation for my companies, for my consulting organizations, and for my teams. When I ask the same questions in the interviews, most of the people they fail answering the basic questions because they don't come from a standard solid foundation background. They read few 10 interview questions on the Google and they come back, but that's not sufficient. So when people interview me, meaning when clients interview me, whether I'm a right automation expert for them, I answer most of their questions because I understand their problem statements. And the same problem statements I teach in the course, and that's what I ask in the interviews as well. Based on these experiences, I'm able to tell you and others that 60 to 70% or 60 to 65%, you will be able to clear the interviews.
Okay, is there any other thing you are assisting for the interviews or once we completed the course?
I will be helping you on the resume preparation. I'll share with you guys the sample resumes that you can refer and what responsibilities you have to put in the resume. That is also shared from my side to you. Interview questions and answers and objective questions and answers and practical problem statements that you have to practice is also shared from my side because that is what they ask in the interviews. This is the help I'm going to provide it in the course itself. And after the classes are
Okay,
completed, you guys can be in touch with me over email or WhatsApp so that any common questions you have, you can always WhatsApp or email me and I'll be able to assist you like that also.
okay, Grant, thanks.
Uh, Hi Kiran, this is Sai Kiran.
Yes, I can.
Hello. Yeah, so is this course help us to get more opportunities? Sorry, I'm asking this question for I'm a working professional in automation testing, but I have never worked on API testing. So I have seen some of the projects are worked on the Postman. I have worked on Postman, but I never see the automation in the Postman. I have saw REST Azure and other things like Ready API
Hmm.
and some other tools. What I have doubt is these concepts and these the as you explained every curriculum that you are going to cover. So these skills help us to get more opportunities. That was my doubt.
Okay, good question. I understand your question. So
Yeah.
if your organization is already using Postman, they are using it as only unit testing, not for actual automation testing. Because most of the times what people do is when they talk about Postman, they send a request, they get the response and they validate the response. So something like this. So let me just type something here. So that is a request. Let's say in my project, I click on send button and you validate the response which is coming here. So you, Sai Kiran, will probably say, yeah, I got the response. I got response code 200. API is working. This is only 5% of API testing. What people miss is 95% of the testing. That 95% of the testing is what we are discussing in the course. Like we'll talk about how to test these headers, how to test these cookies, how to use authorization, how to customize these headers, how to automate the body, in what scenarios I have to use form data or how to use raw format, when to use binary, when to use GraphQL. Here you will write the variable declarations in automation. And here you will write a JavaScripts. And for every API, you can do a setting that you want. When you do all these things, it becomes the automation concept. And not only this, we'll talk about this environment's history. You see, so many features are there here in Postman. We'll use this entire facility given by Postman to automate our project. Most of the people don't do that, right? Even if I have to give a small example, uh, 10 months back, I was consulting an organization, XYZ, and they wanted to automate their APIs. They recommended me to use Selenium framework for API automation. Okay. I said, why Selenium? They have some reasons. I said, for API automation, I will recommend Postman tool. They said, no, we already use Postman tool. Our team is experts in that. So when I asked them, okay, can I talk to your team and know what is it they have done? All they have done is just writing the API here, clicking on send button, and they are saying that, yeah, this is the response we got, so API is working. I said, no, that is just 5 to 3% or 3 to 5% of automation. You are not exploring the other areas of automation. I gave a POC to them, proof of concept, in one day, and they liked it so much that I'm doing the same assignment for them for two different projects until today. So only when you explore the beauty of Postman and the insights of Postman, you'll come to know the depth of automation you can do inside Postman, and that can beat what Rest Assured is doing, what Ready API tool is doing, or what SOAP UI tool is doing. And in Postman, you don't have to come from programming background. But in Rest Assured, you should be coming with Java background. Otherwise, you can't do Rest Assured automation. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So actually, so how much you're sure about the opportunities that we get after completing this course? Like, if we, of course, we have to work day to day, like when you complete the classes. I'm sure about that, but uh, I have a doubt regarding the opportunities that we get using this. How much of projects are using this type of automation testing? How much you are sure about it? Uh,
See, I will talk from my experiences only because I cannot comment on
okay.
what market is doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
From, I'll say, out of 20 clients whom I consulted,
Mm.
I was able to
Okay.
convince 15 clients to use API automation using Postman tool. So I was able to convince. Now, why I was able to convince? Because I know the tool. I made them understand the beauty of the tool, and I'm not convincing one person. I'm convincing the management of the organization. Like I'm convincing the testing head of the organization. I'm convincing their project managers head of the organization why Postman tool can help them in automating APIs. And they also talk about return on investment. So I tell them, even if you recruit freshers, train them on Postman, they'll be able to do this automation after I hand over the automation code to them, and they can do the maintenance, they can execute it. They're able to save a lot of money. One, Postman is free. Two, I gave them the confidence that you give me a fresher, I will make them expert in using this tool once I sign off from this project. And my clients believed me, and it happened also. And coming to the job market in India, I think I usually recommend people to visit this web page, trends.google.com. Go here, trends.google.com, and let me search here, Postman automation, and I want to compare it. So here you can say, for the last 12 months, you see how Postman API automation or Postman automation is searched in India. You can change this to any country you want. So this is how people are talking about Postman automation. So you see here, like in August, from April 30, 2023 onwards, the data is listed here. You see how people are talking about it. Now this could be companies, this could be you, this could be me, this could be anyone. So from the graph, you see that people are talking a lot about this Postman automation. And later you can compare it also. Like you see here, which regions Postman is being spoken about. And if you want, you can compare it with any other tool. Let's say you wanted to compare with Rest Assured. So red is for Rest Assured, blue is for Postman. So this is how people are commenting or talking about it. And your criteria has to be a little better. Postman, here you get some data. This is just a reference I'm giving. This is need not be a Bible that you have to believe this one. Okay? So this is how you can get an answer for any question that you have.
Okay. So
These are
Kiran,
the
like,
insights on analytics.
yeah, I got a picture, but so what I concern is like, what is my concern is like, I work on Java Selenium frameworks. Like, I use it to automate web API, I mean UI projects. So this was the experience that was I have like from 2 years, but I don't have any experience on APIs. But I have worked on a POC using REST Azure API testing, where they are using Ready API, and the client want us to make an application is more vulnerable than the Postman. So mm, like what is my concern is like, now I'm getting less opportunities using these Java and Selenium. Even if I get a opportunity, like there will be so much of competition with those, like Java Selenium is the basic thing. I
Hmm.
mean, in the UI automation, as you know. So if I do this course, like if I do this course and if I get so much of knowledge, I mean, as I practice, of course, sure. So
Hmm.
after these course, if I add these curriculums or these points, as you told me, like in my resume, so uh, do I get more opportunities with these skills? Arish,
See,
that was my,
when
yeah.
obviously yes, right. When you have more skills in your resume, you become a SJET role, right? SJETs are
Yeah.
predominantly having a lot of opportunities today because every organization is looking one person with multiple skill sets, and in that multiple skill sets, companies are saying that if I'm recruiting a testing professional, he or she should have the manual testing expertise plus API automation expertise. This has become the default skill set from the last 2 years. Selenium automation could be an added advantage, but API automation plus manual testing should be one common skill that every person in the team should be aware of. That is the minimum basic expectation of every company today in the job market. And adding more
Yeah.
skills like Python, Cucumber, Selenium, Ready API, they're all additional skill set that you can still have. But API automation has become a mandatory skill. Like, do you think English is an additional language you have to speak or a basic skill? Basic, right? English
Yeah.
and your mother tongue is a basic language that you need to speak to survive in India or survive anywhere in the world. Like that, for a test engineer to survive in the industry, API automation has become a default skill set. Gone are the days where you say, I'm a manual tester. Now, when you say manual tester, you also know API automation. If you don't know, then obviously you are not in the race. You are somewhere lagging behind in the race.
Okay. Okay, Karen, thank you. So, last question is, when will be the like, can I know the duration of this course? Like, I have saw like 25 hours, but uh, like
Nearly 30
approximately
hours
when
will
it,
be there.
okay,
You
when,
can say somewhere
approximately
between
when I
25
will
to
get it. Okay,
okay. June first week we should be able to complete it.
June 1st. Okay, okay. Okay, Karen, thank you. That's it.
How about the rest of the folks? Ravani, Divya, do you have any other questions?
So
Santosh, SK.
is it starting from tomorrow to June first week?
Yes.
Okay.
Monday to
So
Friday
how?
are the classes,
Okay.
and the timings are same. Whatever demo class we had today, the timings are same. 7 a.m. Uh, sorry, 8 a.m. in the morning.
8 to 9.
Correct.
Okay.
Monday to Friday are the classes. Saturdays and Sundays we don't have classes. And again, I repeat, you get access to all the recorded classes, lifetime access, and you'll get detailed notes from me as well. And interview preparation, if you need any support, you will get from me. No doubt about it. I also have a document already prepared, and I'll be sharing it with you as well. After the course, also, you guys can be in touch with me on WhatsApp or on my email ID. I mean, most of the students who completed course 6 months back, 1 year back, they still communicate with me over emails, and I still help them if they have any problems. whatever extent I can help, I do that for sure, in terms of knowledge, in terms of solving a problem that they have. Okay, so that's all I have in this demonstration class, guys. It is more about a quick introduction and explaining you guys what all I teach. And from tomorrow onwards, the actual classes will start. And if you have any questions, please follow up with Isha team, share your WhatsApp numbers with them so that they can get back to you and sort out your queries. So I'll see you guys tomorrow, same timing. Thank you very much for joining this demonstration class. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.